Man, I would love to have some intro music right now. Something like bow wow wow, bow wow wow, bow wow wow. All right. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Men. Um, Today I have Khari Woods with me, fellow Bahamian, fellow young entrepreneur, at least go-getter. Um, and yeah, we out here trying to, make a living,
Trying to make it happen.
trying to make it happen. All right. So just gonna do a quick little introduction. So Coffee with Men, I hope I've said it in a previous episode, is just an attempt to get interviews with different men of different ages, different walks of life, and just kind of get their perspectives on life issues and the things that got men face in today's crazy world. Um, yeah, so like I said, my guest today is Khari Woods. Khari, why don't you take a few minutes just to introduce yourself, man?
Yeah. My name is Khari Woods. Currently living in Prince Edward Island, Canada. Professionally, I work in IT. Um, I've been in Prince Edward Island for the past 6 years. I came here for school, and I ended up staying. Kind of fell in love with the island to a degree. To be honest with you, I love the people here. There's a lot of good energy here. It's a small, family-friendly community here in Prince Edward Island. I mentioned that professionally I work in IT, but outside of IT, something that I do is I do a lot of kickboxing, martial arts. I'm really into stuff like that. I've competed several times. I've had about 5 competitions since I've been in Canada, so my record is 3-2. Um, Also, something else that I do is I'm also interested in art, like visual arts too. So that's just a little bit about me.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So what got you into kicking heads in?
Uh, so when it comes to kickboxing, I don't know. It wasn't really any one thing in particular. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
all young men to a degree have an interest in martial arts or having the ability to say to defend yourselves or fight to some degree. I think you'd all agree with that. I guess for me, I remember watching. It was a movie actually. I thought it was really cool. You ever watched the movie Never Back Down?
I don't think I watched it, but I know about it for sure.
So yeah, it's basically like an MMA movie, right? Mixed martial arts movie. I saw that and I thought, I don't know, the movie was like really cool. The story was very inspiring. If you haven't seen it, I think you should check it out. Another thing that really got me into it was I started watching UFC like way back when in its infancy. And I remember seeing Anderson Silva, right? He was like one of the big guys at the time, and he was just running through all the middleweights. So he was another inspiring figure, and it's just always something I had a burning desire to, pursue.
Hmm.
And I've been doing it, for the past 10 years. And so when I came to Canada, I met with my current coach, he's not on the island now, but I like the energy that he brought to his gym, and I decided to just go for it, rather than living my life in fear. I decided to go and do something that I wanted to do rather than do things that I think I need to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So I like that. That's an interesting kind of segue into the topic or title of the episode, which is when your back is against the wall, or
Right.
maybe against the cage, whatever you want to call it. So before we like dive into like the questions, what did we have? What would be like? I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on this idea or question. Is basically what goes through your head when like you're facing an opponent who's really tough and they have you against the wall or against the cage, or like they're putting that pressure on you. What goes through your head?
In situations like that, you got to maintain your composure. That's very important. That's the most important thing because when it comes to fighting in life, I realize At least it's something my coach told me. He told me that fighting was 100% mental, and through training with him, I started to realize that like even in the fights I lost, or the times in sparring that I didn't do good, it was never the physical aspect of it. It was always the mental aspect. So you lose focus. You start to think about the worst case scenario. Oh, I hope this guy doesn't knock me out, rather than thinking I'm gonna hold my ground, bite down, and I'm gonna start firing back and just focus on that. So if you're back against the wall, I would say rather than focusing on the negative or what could go wrong, just focus on what it is you need to do right in order to overcome that situation. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to do that. That's easier said than done. It's harder to be mentally strong than physically strong, but the two kind of go hand in hand. But I started around, but
That's cool. That's cool. There is
yeah,
a certain level of one thing with all of the kind of physical disciplines, whether it's kickboxing, any type of MMA, strength training, like I do powerlifting and strongman. Whenever it comes to things like this, like those, the biggest thing is the mental toughness, right?
right,
Having your back against the wall, having someone who throws really hard blows, who counters everything that you throw at them, or weights that are just ridiculous, like ridiculously heavy.
like what,
There,
60 pounds or something.
yeah, it literally turns into the point of like, okay, I have to stop worrying about the weight itself and really just kind of fall back on what I know, the things that you know the training that I've gone through is what's got me to this point where I'm even consider competition, or I'm even considering this weight as possible.
Hmm.
um I made this, I don't know if this is kind of related, but I made this interesting point to a guy I was talking to the other day. um and after this we'll, like, I guess, go into the questions. I said, so he was basically saying that he was trying to his best to, like, be consistent, not be consistent. What he said, yeah, something along those lines. He was trying his best to be consistent in certain things. So, like, in his walk with God, and
Right.
trying to learn and read more and stuff like that, and et cetera, et cetera. And then that reminded me of some other things that I was saying as well. Some guys had been asking me, like, okay, well, what's the best way to get into fitness? Like, what do you recommend? And for them, I told them, oh, well, I'll tell you what, like, my dad told me when I was young, and I basically asked the same questions. He just gave me the list. He's like, okay, do 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 squats every day.
All right.
And the thing about it, right, is especially in the beginning, you probably aren't going to do those every day,
Right.
but the idea is not that you focus on doing it every day. Is the idea is that you be consistent about doing it, right? And you
Right.
create the habit. Once you create the habit or the culture around it, it becomes easier to just be like, oh, well, it's time for me to do my 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 whatevers. And then it's like, obviously, as you build a consistency, then it becomes easier, you know?
Hmm.
So that's kind of bringing that right back to what I was saying before, is that you need to stop getting too caught up on, like, what's right in front of us. Stop getting caught up on, I'm trying to be stronger, or I'm trying to do this. It's like, literally just do it. In the sense that you're not trying to do it. You're endeavoring to just be the person who does it, right? So instead of trying to be an MMA fighter, you are living the life of an MMA fighter. So you then become an MMA fighter, or kickboxer, or powerlifter, or strongman,
Right.
et cetera.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anybody is out there listening to this, and you want to get into fitness or anything, that's my recommendation. 50 sit-ups, 50 push-ups, 50 squats every day. You might not do it every day, but the idea is to build consistency. But also, I recommend you read the book, Atomic Habits, which kind of breaks down what I said into a different light, but very similar, where you have a goal, you have an end goal. You never really lose the end goal, but you don't focus on the end goal. You try to focus on the little steps that get you there.
Mm.
As you focus on the steps, and being consistent with the steps, you you create the habits that lead you to your end goal or the outcome that you desire. Cool.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Interesting stuff. That
Yeah, man.
50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and 50 squats. That's something like the One Punch Man workout. Didn't know about that.
100 sit-ups.
Your daddy was the
100.
first One Punch Man.
So, and then the idea too was, like I said, those 50 whatevers become so easy that then you increase it to 100, right? Then the 100 becomes so easy that you then it's like, okay, now I need to start going to the gym because I need more weight to actually stimulate my body to grow stronger. But yeah, man, original One Punch Man. I like that. I like that. Cool. So back to the topic at hand. So when your back is against the wall, man. So I had like thrown some questions out to you before, and I want to try to structure them in a way that I think relates to the topic. So the first one I'd say is like, what do you think? What is happiness to you? Like, how do you handle challenge? What is happiness? And then how do you handle challenges that affect your happiness?
That's a very difficult question to answer because I can only say it like I can only answer that in a way that things that make me happy, right? And like that's what I mentioned earlier is usually activities, you know. So like training a lot, that makes me happy. I'm always happy after training. I recently started doing art again, so that's another thing that makes me happy. I guess I'm a creative individual. I have a creative side, so just being able to create a drawing or a painting or something like that, that makes me happy. Spending time with people that I care about, you know. But I guess if I had to boil it down in one sentence, I guess, having the freedom to do what it is you want to do, you know, that makes you happy, That's happiness to me, at least, If I could wake up every day and say, hey, I could do whatever I want to do, I don't think I have nothing to complain about, you know what I mean?
So happiness. So if I get the right, happiness is the ability, or happiness kind of comes from being able to have the freedom to do what you want when you want.
That's exactly, you summed up. And I realized this like a few years ago, but if I could get to that point in my life where I don't have to do things just because I have to do it, but I could do something because I want to do it, when I wake up in the morning and say, all right, I feel like fishing today, or I feel like going on the beach, or I feel like, working out, I don't need $1 million, you know what I mean? But if I get out freedom over my time, hey, I'd be the richest man in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Why don't you think you have happiness right now? Like, why don't you, or at least do you think you have that freedom right now?
I don't have the freedom right now because, I don't know if I should say this on a podcast, but whatever, I think to a degree we could all relate to this. Most people do, or they get up and they go to their 9 to 5, not because it's something they, passionate about. They do it because they need a paycheck, right? And we all kind of subject to that, right? So I don't know why I work an office job and I like my job, right? It does provide me with a level of security. I'm very grateful for the, what I have, right? But I don't know. At the end of every shift, I always got this feeling inside of me. It's weird. I can't explain it, right? But it's like I feel hollow. You know what I mean? Like this hollow feeling within my chest. And if I go a week without working out, or I go a week without like just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, not doing anything that I want to do, you start to, I don't know, I feel robotic, feel soulless, feel dead,
Right.
That's how I feel. I hope nobody I work with ever sees this podcast. I hope at least I'm not working there. But hey, it doesn't matter. But that's just the truth, like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm happy, but I only have a certain level of it. You know what I mean? I think there's levels to happiness, and let's just say, if on a scale of 1 to 10, I might be a 5. Overall, on average.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Well,
maybe I should be a 10. Maybe I'm ungrateful, but I just saying that's how I feel.
No, I understand. Yeah, there's definitely this, especially in the Western world, and I think to some extent other parts of the world where we literally just we end we're weird, we're growing to like enter the rat race. You know,
Right.
we go to school to learn how to work so that we can graduate, get a good job, and work for somebody, so that we can get the things that we want. You know, things that aren't even necessarily lasting. It's just the things that make us happy in the moment. Like for example, like you might get a job. You might be single, right? You're not, but you might be single. You might go out, get a job, get your first job, it's well paying, and first thing you do is buy the dream car, right? So
Right.
now you have your dream car that makes you happy when you're driving it.
Yeah.
So now what? Do you drive it all the time, every time? Like,
Right.
is it just a fleeting moment? Is it true happiness that you can only experience it temporarily?
Right.
You know, um,
It goes to Ecclesiastes, right? Where it talks about, everything is like vanity, right?
yeah,
It's
it
a
truly
chase
is.
after the wind or as a vapor, These
Yeah.
things we chase in this world is fleeting.
hmm hmm I had a similar conversation earlier with another friend, um, where I was basically kind of ranting about the kind of existentialism or the pointlessness of this life where we grow up, we get a job, we start doing this, that, and the other thing, and then we start pursuing things, and then it's like and that's usually from like the ages like 16 to 25 roughly, and then after that 25th age you like start to as the frontal lobe develops, you start to realize that, hey, this PlayStation 5 that makes me fun for 2 to 3 hours at a time, it's cool and all, but is there any more? Like, do I
Yeah.
have to play it all the time to be happy? Like, I enjoy my job, but I don't really love my job. Or, if you're blessed, you found the job that you do love. But anyway, but the gist of the conversation led to, or the point that the conversation led to, was that we all, especially for men, we all really need to find purpose in life, right?
Right.
Because when we don't have that purpose, we're very susceptible to just being taken by the world. We go with the ebbs and flows of the world. The world defines what makes us happy, and that's not a very stable way to find happiness in life.
Hmm.
So one thing that I was getting at is like you have to find that purpose, because once you find that purpose, you become so grounded in life that nothing can really shake you. Something bad happens today, it's like, well, it's just a challenge preventing me from completing my ultimate goal, or at least working towards my purpose. But then the thing about the mind, right? The mind is a muscle. And so
Hmm.
you get that mental toughness by exercising it, by facing those challenges head on. You may get knocked down a few times, but you know, we get knocked down, we do what? We get
Get,
back up.
get right back up.
Yes, sir. And then you just keep building that toughness that way. And you just start chasing your purpose wholeheartedly with all that you have. And it just becomes you just become this like unmovable force that way.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. When I think about when I thought about happiness in the past, I would say, oh yeah, it's having my dream car, which is like the Mercedes SL 63, and it's like, yeah, but it's just a car. You know,
It's just the
it's
car, right?
it's maintenance. It's a sports vehicle, so it's actually extra maintenance.
Cars the worst, bro. Cars are the worst. Worst things.
It's a Mercedes, so everything is automatic. Every maintenance job is automatically doubled in price, maybe tripled. And yeah, it's just those little things. So I don't know, man. Anyway, that's just some food for thought there for anyone listening on that. And if you guys have any thoughts, what you think happiness is or whatnot, feel free to leave a comment or anything like that. Let's see what you guys have on your mind. All right, bro. So that's pretty cool on happiness there. So I guess like we kind of spoke about challenges, and I know
Hmm.
that I know a little bit about you and some of the challenges, some, not all, but
All
I
right.
know about some of the challenges you went through, especially some of the recent ones. Um, what what do you do when you face a tough challenge? Like, what's your first knee jerk reaction?
See, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, sometimes I crash out. To be honest with you, like that
let
ain't a
me
good thing.
let me flip some tables. Let me jump kick some kicking some punching bags.
I'll punch a hole through a wall.
Hey,
That's what I
okay.
do. I've done them before, but that ain't
Yes,
really
sir.
the right thing to do. But like after I calm down and I compose myself, I usually really like lean on my faith. My faith in God. Uh, and I just recenter myself, and God has always been there for me. That's one thing I could say. I have a blessed life, and it's because of the people around me. I always had a support system. You know what I mean? I always had family to support me, friends to support me. And I realized that's like one of the most important things. The people you surround yourself with. So first, you got to lean on God, and then go to someone else who you could trust, who you could talk to, who could
Yeah,
support you, whether it be your parents, could be your partner, could be your best friend. You
right.
know, that's what I do, because we don't live in this world by ourselves, right? God didn't put us here by ourselves. He made Eve for
Very
Adam,
true.
Adam for Eve. We all have a support system. And once you have people to lean on, you're always going to be all right.
Yeah, that's true. True. I was I was telling someone at WWJD, what would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? Yeah. Don't punch a hole through a wall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Um, so you can still hear me, okay, right?
Yes, sir. I get at you, man. Yeah. I got you.
Perfect, perfect. So, okay. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a follow up or anything like that. That's pretty solid. Like generally, I've kind of, I guess, like, what would you say to anyone who's like dealing with something where uh it seems possible, like they just don't know what to do. Like it seems like there's nothing they can do, but also they may not have that support system. Like, I have like like a lot of guys I find nowadays they just aren't willing to open up a lot about a lot of things. So they may have a support system, but they may not be vulnerable enough to share some of those things, or they'll yeah, because I find that as we hit a certain age, we want to put this image out there, right? This image that I'm unbeatable, I'm unshakable, but
Hmm.
sometimes we go through things too. So like what would you say to somebody who doesn't necessarily have that or think that they don't have that support system?
So for someone who thinks that they don't have a support system, but they actually do, or you actually have people around you can talk to, I would say to drop your ego. That's the first thing I'd have to say. I have to be very blunt about that. If you're going through something mentally, right, something challenging, it could really weigh out on you. And I think you hinted something. I think in this like modern society that we have, especially like I would say in Bahamian society, is like this sort of like hyper masculinity amongst black men where you like if you're dealing with something, you got to keep that to yourself. The only emotion you allow to show is say anger or yeah, anger, basically, when I think about it. You can't really show sadness, you can't show jealousy or any type of vulnerability, right? I would say to drop that in. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, and let them know what it is you're feeling and what it is you're going through. Because I can tell you, I have two friends that I can think about, right? Obviously, I won't say their names here, but like I'm that friend that people go to when they need someone to talk to, and I always reach out to them. And I told all my friends, my male friends, listen, if y'all, going through something, don't ever kill yourself, right? I, you know, like don't ever like, because like that's a big issue, right? Suicide is a big issue in this side of the, world. It's something that's not really talked about a whole lot. I had two friends that might have been borderline suicidal, but I reached out to them and we talked, and they felt a lot better just getting whatever they had off of their chest. And I told them,
Mhm.
listen, like, don't ever kill yourself, because I get that you might not want to go on, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's a quote that someone said, I heard a while back. He said that the rear view, there's a reason that the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror, right? Because what's in front of you is bigger than what's behind you. You know what I mean? So you always
Mhm.
got to look forward.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, and just kind of to wrap that thought, I'd say, just remember the golden rule. This is what is love your neighbor as you love yourself.
As you love yourself, yeah.
Uh,
Do unto
but
others as you have them do unto
do
you.
unto others.
Yeah.
So specifically about that, right? You shouldn't expect to get what you don't give.
Hey, real talk. Yeah. Real talk.
So if you're sitting there saying, moping around or thinking to yourself, no one loves me, no one cares about me. Well, first you need to take a second and be like, ask yourself, look at your life, like seriously, and ask yourself, well, did you give love to anyone? Did you show anyone that you cared beyond selfish reasons? Because the thing
Yeah.
about like when I know I'm steering into relationships now, specifically romantic ones. When you do something for your partner, are you doing it because it's out of care, or are you doing it because like just something to get out of it, right? What
Yeah.
what 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 are you doing for others when you don't expect anything back, right? Because if you always just give expecting to receive, well, sometimes you just don't get anything. But if you give wholeheartedly from love and from your namesake, like you reach that point where, well, people just naturally are going to gravitate to you, um because they sense that that's your nature, right? Like it's in
Mhm.
some people's nature. But if you're always just holding it in or keeping everything to yourself, not showing love, not doing for others, not checking up on a brother who you haven't spoken to in weeks, like why would they do it back for you?
Right.
So yeah, we have to learn to kind of foster the habit of caring, beyond getting, you know. So the more you
That's a
give, the
very
more
good
you get. Yeah.
That's a very good point you brought up. You always get what you give in this life, right? You
Yeah.
know, if you're that
So
friend who reaches out, or if you're the friend who doesn't reach out to anybody else to check on them, you
mhm.
shouldn't necessarily expect that in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of something really important to think about, going forward. Uh any other comments on that one?
Not particularly though. I
No.
know. I guess we could circle back to something you said earlier about having purpose. Because I thought about
Okay.
something. I'm 31 now, right? And I had some
Happy
minor health.
birthday, I guess.
No, no, I turned 31 back in July. It's December, but yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I heard by 31 now, and I've been getting this weird feeling, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. If you think about it, right, I technically don't live I near in half of my life, because most people, let's just say you live to 70, right? Because people do die at 70, You may not live to
Yeah.
80 or 90, You may not have a long life. You could die at 60, right? So technically
Uh-huh.
speaking, I don't live half of my life. And I just been having this sense like, I need to do more. I need My life has to have some type of purpose, to it.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I guess I kind of reevaluating what that is, and that's why. I mean, I've been thinking about giving, martial arts just a strong effort, or you know what I mean. But I want to wake up in the morning and I want to pursue something that matters, rather than just
Yeah.
living in a routine, or at least that matters to me, I should say.
That's
You know.
fair. That's fair.
So I've been
I
having
get
that strong feeling lately, to be honest with you. And anybody that might be
yeah.
listening to this, if it's something that you're passionate about, this might sound cliche, but maybe give it a shot. You don't have to quit your job, but find
Mhm.
time after work, find time, on the weekends, just find time for that, and if that's your purpose, it makes you happy. You don't know where it can lead, you know. So I would say go for it, you know, because I don't know, like you only get one life, you know. And as I get older, I really that's starting to hit more, you know. Like I starting to realize my mortality because I really do. I think about those health issues and those things that I had earlier. It makes me realize, wow, this body that I have that God give me, this temporary, like this gonna expire
Uh-huh.
one day, and that'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That'll be my one ride on this earth, and I ain't getting another
Yeah.
one.
That's
So
crazy, bro.
it's like, and it's weird because I can't really comprehend that. You know, I can't grasp the concept
Mm-hmm.
of death, which is that might sound
Mm-hmm.
strange, but it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I can't really comprehend. You always think it's something that happened to other people, but it's gonna be you one day in the funerals, right? But
Yeah.
that's when one day it's gonna be mine, you know.
All right. That's
And
that's a good point.
so it's like I've been having that strong feeling within me lately. Like, listen, you gotta make it count because this is all you got.
Yeah.
This is all you got.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah. It's
fear you
funny.
have holding you back, push that to the
Don't let
side.
it. Don't let it. It's funny to hear that because it's just kind of walking through the life cycle, right? Especially for we talking to men, so I don't have to say especially for men, but anyway, you get the point. As we
Right.
go through our life, right? Like we hit we're children or babies. We don't have our senses about us. We're just this is life. We're just I eat, I sleep, I poop. I eat, I sleep, I poop.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the life. Pure. But then you get into your adolescence and all that good stuff. You start to mature, and then you kind of hit this sense of, like you said, immortality, right? It's we Death is never the thing we think about. It's just like, this is life. I remember being in high school and being like, this is what life is going to be like forever.
Right. Yeah.
but
Exactly.
but then what happens? Oh, you graduate. Okay, so I don't have to go to school every day now. My parents aren't pressuring me to go to school. Some people got pressure to go to like college and stuff, but it's a different type of pressure.
Yeah.
um and then, as you said, you start pursuing. And this is the next thing, right? Like, I've made the comment before that you should start pursuing, at least specifically for men, from the ages of like 16 to 33. And I only say 33 because I am 33.
Oh
But from the
yeah.
age of like 16 to 33, probably a little older, you should be desperately trying to find your purpose.
Right.
Because if you don't, like I mentioned earlier, the world can just take you and make you think, or make you, or give you a sense of what your value is, when it's like you should be the one who defines what that is.
Yeah.
So what I was getting at is like that age of like 16, 17, when you graduate high school, it's like, well, now what do I do with myself? Right. And then that's like the trap. That's like the other half of the trap, because now you have this freedom to do what you want and make yourself what you want to be. But the status quo, or the trend, is, well, I guess I go to college now so that I
Right.
can get a job.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not, if you're lucky, you know what kind of job you want to pursue, and you have people to help you pursue that job or pursue that career. But if you don't, it's easier to just fall into the easier paths, the ways that will get you a job but may not get you the dream job, right? So like I was saying, if you fall into that second trap where now you're just going through the flow of, well, I go to work. I mean, I go to college. I work my part-time job. I only work the part-time job so that I can pay for school,
Yeah.
or I work, I go to school and I go my part-time job so that I can have pocket change, because luckily my parents bless me, or someone blessed me with paying for college.
Mhm.
So now you're going through this time of learning, where you're not really learning truly what your purpose is. You're learning something regarding your chosen career path, whether it's a part of your purpose or not. But you're not taking that much time to really discover yourself. Because what ends up happening also when you're in the college life, you're doing college, you're doing your part-time job, but now you also need to have fun, right? You're having fun, and you're like, now you have college defining who you are, You have what's the other thing? You have your social group defining who you are, and then you have your part-time job, that work life trying to define who you are. So now you have these three factors affecting who you're turning into, but it's not necessarily you working on what you want to be, right? Especially, like I said, if you don't know what your purpose is. So, yeah, you go through those kind of cycles or those pathways, and then you hit this point where, okay, now you're 22, 25, 23, 24, 25, and you kind of hit this sense of, well, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I work the job, and now I have a decent job, but it's like, okay, is it fulfilling? Is it lasting? Is it impacting the world?
Yeah.
Is it a part of my purpose? Do I love the outcome that could come from me working to the best of my ability? Um, so yeah, I'll wrap up this little spiel by saying that the ultimate way, one of the best ways to identify your purpose or identify a lasting purpose is to analyze the outcome. And if that outcome positively affects you, your surroundings, and or the world. You know, because if we're all just here to have fun and, buy the things that we want, things that other men, other people made, if that's all life is, well, it's a pretty pointless life.
Yeah. Very
To
much.
be a bit blunt, you know.
Yeah.
But if you come into this world and you realize that, well, your goal is to change the world for the better, whoa, that's some serious purpose, bro. So
Yeah, man. Yeah.
that's what's up. That's what's up. And I'll leave it at this. Like, it's going to be a challenge, right? Because sometimes you might find yourself where it's like, okay, I have a passion, but I don't know how this a passion will affect anyone positively, right?
Yeah.
Like I've hit that point where I'm like, well, I like fitness, but how can my fitness positively affect the world? The onus is on me to figure out what that is. It's on me to find out what that purpose is for me, because like the Bible says, it's each man should work out their own salvation. So it's about you figuring it out, you walking your journey. I've also, this is okay, this for sure is the last thing, and I'll like flip the script back to you. Um, is um, what did I say in that last meeting? Eh,
Well, you had mentioned the
oh,
Bible just now. If that helps you out.
yeah, every man should. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So basically, this is another little bit of a blunt statement: is that you know, you, me, my neighbors, we're all not special,
Okay.
but we are all unique.
Yeah.
We all face very similar challenges in life. If it's something that I have faced before, there's a chance that my neighbor may not have faced it, but there's a very strong chance that my other neighbor adjacent me may have faced it. There's a chance some guy on the other side of the world may have faced it. So we're not that special. We face very similar challenges in life, especially if we all live in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
But our story is unique to us. How we overcome the challenges in life, how we overcome those issues that life throws at us. It's unique to us how we overcome, how we give back to the world, how we influence it. So yeah, I'll that's my mic drop moment there.
I mean, that was good, bro. That was good. Yeah, you're right. We are all unique. I do think we're all unique. I think we all have something to offer, but we're not like special. I don't think anyone is better than the other. In that
Exactly.
regard, we all human. All of us gonna be 6 feet under. At some
Yep.
point. But if I could circle back to something you were talking about earlier, where you mentioned like when kids are in college or men in college, you go to college, you have to work, and then you have to socialize, right? With those three things occupying your time, right? I think, especially depending on where you are in the world, there can be a lot of distractions, especially with the social aspect of it, and a lot of peer pressure too. One thing I think there's an advantage of being up here and being like away from, like Nassau. In this side of the world, or at least up here, people kind of let you be who you are. Nobody's trying to put you in a box. And I feel like if you having trouble figuring out who you are, you need to go isolate yourself, basically, and just try to spend some time with yourself, do things that you want to do rather than doing things that you think other people may be interested in, and that'll help the
Yeah.
individual find out who it is they are. Because like up here, I mean, all right, back home, right? The most common thing to do is to go out, drink, and have a good time, right? But it's like if you don't do those things, you
Yeah.
would be considered boring, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here,
Definitely.
it's like, all right, if you go out, if you say you don't really go out and party, nobody really cares. Nobody gives you a second glance. I'm sorry if you hear that in the background.
No, you're good. You're good, bro.
Okay. So nobody gives you like a second glance. It's like, all right, if I say I don't go out and party, but I like to go for hikes or go on the beach, they'll be like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
think I definitely would agree that there's a big kind of culture shock when Bahamians came over here. At least
Yeah.
when you leave that culture and it's like, whoa, wait, you mean I don't have to be that way? I do get
Hey,
to do things
exactly.
I actually enjoy.
Yeah. If you
So
tell people
I agree.
my idea of a good weekend is staying at home and painting, there's
Yeah.
like people will be people you say that back home, people will be like, okay, that's kind of boring, or you weird,
Mhm.
or who does that, But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, okay, cool, that's your thing, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
But I don't know, and I've made that point to other Bahamians, but it's like they don't see it. But it's like I don't know. I think if you sit in shit too long, it stops the sink. Not saying that it's shit, but you know what I mean. Am I
Yeah,
allowed to
yeah,
cuss on this? Sorry.
yeah. We keep it PG-13, so everybody gets
Sorry.
one.
Right. Yeah. But I think some people like if you're stuck in the culture for so long, you wouldn't
Yeah.
realize it. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
myself didn't realize it until I left. And when I went back, I started to notice certain things. You know what I mean? The difference in
Yeah.
interaction with a Bahamian and the average, say Canadian, right? Not saying one is better than the other, but there's definitely some, for me at least, there's some glaring differences. That was
Right.
a bit of a segue, though. I kind of rambled, but
That's all right. That's all
yeah,
right. It's just a conversation, bro.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I mean, as we get ready to wrap here, last thing I kind of I'm gonna like kind of merge a bit of the last two prompts. So how important is mental health to you? And what I'd add to that is like, what are some habits you do to like your maintain good mental health and wellness?
All right. So I mentioned earlier about my job, what it is I do. I find it to be very monotonous, boring. It can bring you down. That right in itself could weigh on your mental health, I guess. Like I'm lucky that I don't have any serious issues. Like I don't have any like baby mama drama. I don't have any sickness. I was never abused or nothing like that, right? So my experience with like mental health is, I guess, it's not the biggest issue. I don't feel
Hmm.
100% qualified to talk on this, but I will anyway since you asked me. Uh, but I will say this though, like I feel like fitness is very important. Like whatever it is that's stressing you, you just need to find a way to get away from it. I find that, like I said earlier, if I don't work out for like a week or so, like it starts to really get to me. And I really do feel like the mind and the body, like, like the infinity symbol is like, it goes kind of like this. I feel like that's a good representation for like maybe a mental, like the mind and the body, because the two go hand in hand. If you sit down like for a week and you don't do anything, like how would you feel? You probably feel pretty crappy, right?
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You probably feel pretty crappy, you know. But in the moment you get up and you go to the gym and you start moving, it's like, and I think there's science behind this. You know, it releases something called like serotonin or endorphins in your brain. It's the feel good chemical. So you know, it's important to get up and move, you know, or get away from whatever it is that might be, you know, bringing you down, you know. And I told this
yeah,
to a friend of mine recently who was having some mental health issues of himself. I think he was really like, you know, he was in a dark place, you know. I won't say he was suicidal, but he told me he really appreciated me looking out for him because he was in a dark place. And he told me himself like he wasn't like working out, he wasn't like doing stuff like that. And I think I really believe that we meant to move our bodies and we ain't really meant to sit down for 9 hours a day. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the way. I don't think that's the way the creative meant us to be. I think we created a world that was contradictory to what really he wanted, you know.
yeah,
So that's very important, you know. And like hobbies too, right? Hobbies, you know, whatever it is that you might like to do. Hobbies that kind of like fulfill you and reset you. I recently started drawing again, so that you know that helps. I
hmm,
find that I spend like a weekend here just drawing, and I feel recharged for the new week. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that would be my advice. You know,
Okay. Yeah,
some
I
people,
definitely
some
agree.
people,
I definitely
that's
agree.
like you know, some people like to go and hang out with friends. You know, if that's your thing. You know, do that. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I definitely agree on the movement part. We were not meant to be still. Um, Even like you look at the chair, right? And I'll only hint a little bit about faith, but there's a lot of people who put like their faith in things like a chair, right? So we trust, we have the faith that one, a chair will like support our weight. We have faith that the chair will provide us comfort,
hmm
right? We put all this faith into our chairs, but at the end of the day, the chair is slowly killing you.
right. Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that crazy, bro?
That's crazy when you put it that way because they say that sitting down is just as bad as smoking. I read that study somewhere. You know, this is it's not good
It's
for your heart, right?
it's just a
It's
slow killer.
it's just a slow killing. That's crazy to think about it. You put a lot of faith in that chair, but really it's killing you. You know.
um, but yeah, like I'll talk about an injury I had recently from like my a competition I did. So basically, I had something like a disc bulge or something along those lines of. But anyway, it led to like inflammation in my SI joint. Um, and basically, I had a lot of trouble like getting up. So getting up off like from laying flat. Also sitting, I had issues sitting,
hmm
and obviously I couldn't lift much.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of people once they get injured, one of the first things they do is they stop moving.
Right.
It's like this is one thing I don't like about like a lot of doctors is that they'll say, not let me not say doctors. It's the stereotype of the doctors where they say, well, you should not move. You should probably stop doing the thing that you feel passionate about, right?
Right.
It's
Exactly.
particularly if it's related to like fitness or moving. They basically try to get you to stop moving, and there's some benefit to that, right? Because if it's like some kind of traumatic injury like a slash or a tear in your muscle or anything, like, yeah, maybe not moving for a little while is good, but as soon as you are able you should start moving. So like with my injury, I didn't really start feeling better until I started taking like 30-minute walks every day,
Okay.
and that's what that just kind of led to like a quickening of the healing process. So yeah, I 100% agree that we are not meant to be still sitting in one place all the time. We are meant to move, stretch our bodies, you know, lift things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super heavy, but just
Yeah.
get your body moving. Uh yeah, so I 100% agree. And one last thing, I kind of we can probably wrap on this one here, but you kind of touched on, well, obviously, like we're talking about like the mental health. And I like this. I wish I remembered the article, but it's something I was reading that particularly talked about mental wellness. And the thing about it is that we also, just like how we treat our regular health, like, how we get those flu shots, how we, take care of our bodies and do all this stuff, our mental health is very much the same, in the sense that it's something we need to consistently take care of. We also need to be, so we need to be proactive. So, sorry, I said that the wrong way, but anyway, we need to be we need to be active, right? So like if there's an issue, we need to work on it. Like if there's depression, we should be actively trying to combat the depression. Doing things like learning your triggers, seeking advice, and whatever have you, right? But also we need to be proactive or preemptive, where we should always be working on keeping ourselves in a good space mentally. Like you said, having good habits like going to the gym, drawing, like even if you take 30 minutes a day to try to work on that type of stuff, it's very, very helpful. Yoga, what are some other things? So there's art, yoga, um, heck, video games, I would say, but you have to learn how to limit it for sure, because
Yeah.
there's like a point of diminishing returns for sure.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Reading, everybody should be reading a book. Try to be reading every month. Even if you don't finish a book in a month, you should be reading something every month. Um, yeah, we need to be proactive or preemptive about that stuff. Uh, and kind of like the last thing I want to leave on this, and I'm glad I get to say this today because I recorded it before but wasn't able to post it. um, every man, everybody should have someone to talk to, whether it's a very close friend, a parent, uh, a pastor, a therapist. You should have someone to talk to, someone you can confide in, and someone who will obviously like is not going to come from a place of judgment, but is going to try to guide you in the correct ways that line up with your morals and values, right? So if you're a Christian, your pastor is a good place to start, or you're a minister who you look up to, someone who you respect. Um, if you're a young man, you may not be in church or anything like that. Well, try to find someone in sports who you look up to. You need to find some kind of role model. If it's no one in your immediate space, you need to try to get. I recommend getting it into like to speak to some kind of therapist to help you like navigate what you're going through, especially like if you don't have the best relationship with your parents, especially your father. You should have someone to talk to help you with that stuff. um yeah, it's just so important to be proactive about your mental health. Don't
Yeah.
wait until the last minute. Don't wait until there actually is an issue to do something about it, right?
Yeah, glad you brought up that last point because that's something I was thinking about while, like, when you had asked me, what I think we should do about mental health or how important it is. I forgot to mention, hey, if you're having serious issues, like if you like suicidal, like, don't go to your friend. Like maybe go to see a professional. You know, go get some serious help. Or if you're having like substance abuse issues, or if you have some past childhood trauma, like maybe you were abused or neglected or stuff like that. I think those are like very serious issues that you might need professional help to deal with. I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody that might be listening. But yeah,
Yeah, bro. That's real talk. Like I think everybody, every man, every woman, we want someone to love us. We want someone to care about us. But the fact of the matter is, you have to love and care about someone else too. And the reality of that is you have to love yourself before you can like love someone else.
hmm
It's only justice for yourself, and it's justice for that other person, because if you can love yourself, you can help that other person love you.
yeah,
um and this is obviously outside of your parents, because they know it's a different type of love, right? um and you don't necessarily have to have the romantic love. It could be more platonic love, love from a friend, uh, love from a good friend. And you have to listen. I know some people are gonna hate me for this, but dog is man's best friend. Sure, true,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. But the dog ain't gonna fulfill what you need.
Oh, they're gonna hate you for saying that, bro. They're gonna hate you. I know some people.
They're gonna flam me, bro. They're gonna
Yeah.
flam me. A dog is not better than a person.
Yeah.
Dogs are better than some people. Sure, I agree. But a dog is not better than a person. So take that how you please. Don't leave too many negative comments if you do disagree.
Yeah.
But just think about that, because you can say a dog is better than a person, but then what does your dog think about you?
The dog
Right?
probably just see you as master, someone who feeds them.
Or even going beyond that, right? Like, you might say, because I want you to really think, not you, Khari, but I want you to really think about it. It's like, if you think that a dog is better than a person, and your dog thinks that you are better than some other dogs, well, what does your dog actually think about you? What does your dog think about people, really?
Yeah.
If your dog can lift people up higher than you need to really evaluate where your headspace
I get where you're coming from.
anyways, yeah, but it's all love, like, one thing I'm hoping to foster with this thing is that love is real. We all need it. We all deserve it, so I may not know who you are, but I love you. I want to see you prosper. I want to see you succeed. I say that even though I probably won't see you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's real talk. There are people who care. There are people who want to see you do well, whether it's me, whether it's, your next door neighbor, whether it's somebody you haven't even met yet. There are people out there who are not totally bad.
Right. Yeah.
So respect on that. Anything you want to add? Anything else, Khari?
Not really anything I want to add. I just want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate this. Not sure where this going to lead, but I did this as an opportunity maybe for me to just kind of come out my shell, speak more, express myself more. You know what I mean? And just exercise this one voice I got.
We only got one, bro. It's
Yeah.
true. All right, respect, man. Thank you for coming. Well, you didn't come, but you didn't come here.
I know
But
what you mean.
thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the time to chat with me. I know some of these questions were a little personal, so I appreciate exposing the vulnerability to give you. I don't want to say it this way, but basically to give yourself the opportunity to help others, right? Or
Okay.
give other people the opportunity to find someone who they relate to, even if it's just a voice on the internet. So yeah, once again, thank you very much. This has been Coffee with Men. I feel bad because I don't have a cup of coffee with me right now, but just pretend that I do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I
thanks, bro.
appreciate it. We'll do this again. All right.
All right, man. You be blessed. And yeah, we'll chat later, man.
All right. Later.
Bye. Thanks for listening. This has been another episode of Coffee with Men. If any of the points stood out to you in this episode, feel free to leave a comment and maybe we can get to discuss that in future episodes. Otherwise, I hope this has been a blessing. I hope this has impacted you positively, and look forward to the next episode. Thanks again. Bye now.